Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. My name is Rupert Brown, co-founder of T-, and I'm very pleased to welcome our very special guest for tonight's T- webinar. Dr. Emily Kostelnik is a clinical health psychologist and someone who lives with multiple vestibular disorders. She earned a PhD in clinical psychology and has specialized training in health psychology, which focuses on the interplay between medical and psychological illness. Health psychology also focuses on behavior change to optimize functioning and quality of life with chronic illness. Throughout her experience as a psychologist, she has worked with patients contending with many different medical conditions, such as vestibular disorders and tinnitus, but also diabetes, obesity, HIV, and addiction, to name a few, but decided to use her professional experience and personal experience as a patient to focus solely on providing education to the community of individuals living with chronic ear-related and neurological issues, to include chronic dizziness, vertigo, and tinnitus. Thus, she founded Rooted Behavioural Education to provide her behavioural health expertise to people around the world living with these concerns. Welcome, Emily. Lovely to have you here on the T- webinar. Thanks for turning up. Thank you.
Thank you, Rupert. I'm so glad to be here tonight.
I'm very especially excited because you've been helping us and you've been advising with us, and we've been really picking your brains and using your expertise to help us also along our travels to help people with tinnitus, and you've been pivotal in that role. Thank you so much. And I have the very first question for you, which is number one, how can you relate personally, Emily, to the tinnitus community?
Happy to answer. So I know many of you listening are living with tinnitus, and you hear from professionals, and it might sound like from more of an academic background, but I'm happy to share a little bit of my personal experience so you can relate and kind of see my personal experience and where I'm coming from, and really see that I can understand what you're going through and what it's like to live with these conditions. So about 4.5 years ago, I was diagnosed with a rare vestibular disorder called superior canal dehiscence syndrome, which is SCDS, and subsequently developed some other issues to include vestibular migraine, which is commonly co-occurring with SCDS. And a common symptom of SCDS, or superior canal dehiscence, is pulsatile tinnitus, which is kind of like a rushing sound where you hear your heartbeat. So I had that chronic experience for a few years prior to having a surgical repair. And then as part of the vestibular migraine picture, I do experience tinnitus. For me, is like kind of a high-pitched squealing sort of sound that I experience as part of migraine episodes. So I personally have experienced chronic tinnitus prior to a surgical repair that I had. And now my current experience with tinnitus is more around vestibular migraine, which for me is more episodic, meaning it kind of comes in episodes, discrete episodes, rather than something that I experience all the time. So I hope that can give you a little bit of background on where I'm coming from personally, and then I'm sure we'll get into some conversation about professional as well.
Absolutely, Emily. And I for one, as someone who has tinnitus and who has had it really badly, really resonates with the fact that you're a clinical practitioner, but also you have the experience, sadly, of having a condition yourself. So you really understand. And I think that's what makes it so potent, the fact that you're really able to help people in a very special way, because I think personally, from my perspective, I would understand and I would have believed you more, and that would have helped my recovery. I certainly, when I was recovering from tinnitus, the last person I found that really helped me was a woman called Penny Stannard, who was a great hearing therapist. And I think it really touched upon the fact that she also was experiencing the condition herself that made me really trust her. And I think that's really important going forward, is that obviously the clinical information is vital and it's so important, but it's the trust, isn't it? And from a personal perspective, that really helped me, and it was the final piece in the jigsaw. So